A teenage girl kidnaps the hero's partner and walks away clean. The hero just absorbed 2 alien crystals, stolen 4 different superpowers, survived a mantis, a mutant rat, a fire-breathing snake, and a human sacrifice cult, and he still could not stop it. One question burns through everything. Who is behind the mask? Day 3. That's how long Chad has been alive in a world that should have already killed him 10 times over. He's a university student. East Lake University. Used to walk this sports field every single day. Now he's crawling through it like an insect, because that's basically what he is. The shrinking event happened 3 days ago. Boom. Without warning. Every single human on the planet reduced to the size of a thumbnail. And the world? The world didn't shrink with them. The grass is a forest now. The rain is a flood. And the animals are the size of skyscrapers. Chad is starving. He's freezing. Every muscle in his body is screaming at him to stop moving. But across the field, barely visible through the towering blades of grass, is a vending machine. Food, water, survival. All he has to do is cross a field that is now basically the Amazon rainforest. Simple, right? He forces himself to move anyway, because that's the kind of guy Chad is. Not the hero type, not the chosen one, just a guy who refuses to lay down and die. And then the mantis finds him. It drops from above, silent, massive, bladed arms already raised. At their size, a praying mantis is the size of a car, and this one is not here to play. It crashes down directly in front of Chad, and the impact alone nearly knocks him off his feet. This is it. Day 3. And it ends here. Except, it doesn't. Something activates. Data panels explode into Chad's vision. Not a hallucination. Not a fever dream. Cold hard information, clinical and precise, hovering in the air like a heads-up display. And right at the top, in clean text, Infinite Evolution System, forcefully activated. The system speaks. Target identified. Threat level, critical. Recommended action, strike the soft underbelly. Chad doesn't question it. There's no time to question anything. He dives, rolls, and drives his attack straight into the mantis's underbelly exactly where the system told him to. The mantis goes down hard. And then, tutorial quest complete. Path of evolution unlocked. Chad stares at the data panels floating in his vision. His hands are shaking. His heart is hammering. But the mantis is dead at his feet. And something tells him, whatever just activated in his body, this is not a one-time thing. He absorbs the mantis biomass. The system processes it. His body changes. He doesn't know exactly what upgraded, but he feels it, a subtle shift, a new efficiency in his muscles, a warmth spreading through his chest. He has no idea yet how far this evolution system will take him. But right now, standing over a dead mantis in what used to be his school sports field, our guy just became something different. And the world is about to find out. Meanwhile, somewhere nearby, someone has been watching. She doesn't announce herself, doesn't call out. 1 second there's nothing. The next second, a blade of force slices the air beside Chad's ear and a voice comes with it, flat and direct. What's your power? Chad spins. Standing a few meters away is a young woman. Sharp eyes, no wasted movements, zero emotion on her face. She already has her ability ready. She's not asking because she's curious. She's asking because she's deciding whether he's a threat. Her name is Lin-Wan-chun, and her power is called Slash. Chad is irritated. She literally just attacked him. But before he can say anything, he notices a rat nearby that had been circling him. Lin-Wan dispatched it while he was focused on the mantis. She saved his life without making it a big deal. He still thinks she has terrible people skills. She tells him the basics. After the shrinking event, some humans awaken supernatural powers. They're called awakened. She killed a mantis herself before she found him. The world outside is full of mutant animals, infected creatures, and desperate survivors doing terrible things to each other. She proposes a team. Chad almost laughs. She jumped him, tested him without warning, and now she wants to team up. But she's right about the math. 1 person alone in this world is already dead. 2 is at least a fighting chance. Next time, Chad says, try asking nicely. She doesn't respond. She just turns and walks. Follow me. I'll take you somewhere safe. And honestly, he follows. Lin-Wan has found shelter in a glass wine bottle near the edge of the field. Sounds ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But the thick glass keeps most animals out, and as long as they guard the narrow opening, Nothing big enough to hurt them can squeeze inside. They settle in for the night. The plan: rest, then head for the vending machine at dawn. The glass bottle is cramped and cold and smells like fermented grapes. Chad stares at the ceiling and thinks about how 3 days ago he was stressed about exam deadlines. Then his alarm triggers. The mutant rat found them. It is not small. It is not slow. And unlike most animals that hunt for food, this rat has been following them specifically, not because it's hungry, but because it wants to. The system reads the situation immediately. Strong hostility detected. Target: awakened. This rat hunts awakened for sport. It's too big to fit through the bottle opening, for now. But it starts slamming itself against the glass, over and over, trying to force them out. The impacts shake the entire bottle like an earthquake. Chad and Linwan fight to stall it. They strike through the opening, draw it back, regroup. The system gives Chad what he needs. The mutant brown rat's weakness is poor endurance. If they can keep it moving, keep it chasing, it will burn out. That's easier said than done when the rat outweighs them by a factor of 1,000. And then, a campus bell rings nearby. Other survivors are close. Chu Shang and his crew arrive on the scene. 3 of them. Big guy energy. The kind of group that formed in the first 24 hours of the crisis and immediately decided the rules don't apply to them anymore. Chu Shang looks at the rat, wounded, tiring, focused on Chad and Lin Wan, and makes a calculation. He tells his crew to hold. Let these 2 wear it down. Then they'll swoop in, finish it, and claim everything. It's cold. It's calculated. And it tells you everything you need to know about Chu Shang. But Chad sees it. He sees them hiding in the shadows. And instead of backing down, he calls out to every other survivor nearby who has also been hiding and watching. Instead of getting picked off one by one, team up and kill this thing while we still have numbers. Nobody moves. Won't listen? Then we all die together. That does it. Everyone rushes the rat at once. Chad coordinates the attack around the endurance weakness. Keep it running, keep it burning, strike at the underbelly when it slows. Lin Wan's slash ability tears through it from the flank. The mutant rat collapses, dead, and Chad absorbs the biomass before anyone fully realizes what he's doing. Evolution complete. Enhanced defense unlocked. He now has the rat's legendary toughness layered into his body. He can feel it. Something dense and reinforced sitting beneath his skin. He smiles to himself and says nothing. Chu Shang immediately moves to claim the entire kill. The food would last days, and Chu intends to control all of it. Chad pushes back. He suggests a vote on who manages distribution. Lin Wan sees the problem immediately. There are 3 of them and 2 of us. The vote is rigged. And here's the twist. Chad votes for the vote system anyway. The tougher things get, he says, the more we have to stick together. Lin Wan stares at him like he just said the most naive thing she's ever heard. She calls him a suck-up. He doesn't respond. Because Chad isn't being naive. He's watching. And waiting. And he already knows something is wrong with the rat meat that Chu Shang's crew is about to eat. Something very, very wrong. Here's what Chu Shang and his crew don't know. While everyone was fighting the rat, Chad noticed something. The meat is tainted. He doesn't know exactly how or why yet, but the system flagged it, and Chad flagged it. He said nothing. He gave his own group clean food and watched. Chu's crew digs in. By nightfall, one of them wakes up screaming. His teeth are changing shape. Something is crawling under his skin. His face is wrong. His eyes are wrong. He's infected, and the infection moves fast. The other crew members panic. One of them, named Kenna, starts pointing fingers. That brat knew the meat was tainted. He must know the cure. Chad lets the infected crew member stumble toward him. The man grabs Chad by the front of his shirt, eyes wild, voice cracking. You knew. You must know how to save me. I'll give you everything. Please. Chad looks at him for a long moment. I don't know the cure, he says. And even if I did, why would I save someone who planned to prey on my friend while she passed out from hunger? Because that's the second thing Chad figured out. Kenna's plan, the reason they spiked the food, was to incapacitate Lin Wan, specifically for Kenna's own use. They weren't just trying to win a power struggle. They were going to use an unconscious woman as property. The infected crew member does not take the refusal well. He swings. Hard. With the kind of strength that infection tends to produce. Unnatural, enraged, completely uncontrolled. Chad takes the punch dead on. The enhanced defense he absorbed from the rat doesn't flinch. I bet you didn't see that coming. and neither did the infected guy. Chu Shang himself transforms next. His power, muscle augmentation, activates fully. His body swells. His strikes hit like falling boulders. The camp erupts into chaos. But Chad has already clocked Chu's weakness. The augmentation burns energy at a catastrophic rate. Chu cannot hold that form for long. His endurance is the worst possible stat for a power that costs this much to maintain. Chad stalls, dodges, keeps Chu moving, keeps him spending fuel. And sure enough, Chu burns out. His muscles deflate. He collapses, gasping, spent. Now it's Chad's turn. He dispatches the infected crew members cleanly. And then he does something nobody in the group expected. He absorbs them. From Truan, one of Chu's infected crew, the system extracts something beautiful, spatial storage. The ability to store items in a pocket dimension. In a world where you cannot carry much and supplies are everything. This is not just useful. This is a game changer. Truan barely escapes with his life. And the storage ability is locked in. Later, when the chaos settles, Linwan corners Chad. She has been watching. She is too smart not to have been watching. She lists everything she has seen. He killed a mantis on day 1. He has slash. He tanked a punch that should have shattered bone. He somehow knew Chu would burn out. And now he clearly just absorbed something from those corpses. Who the hell are you really? Chad meets her eyes. At least I'm not your enemy. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be dead. That is not an answer. They both know it's not an answer. But Linwan is the type of person who listens to reason rather than emotions. She thinks about it. She lets it go. For now. The next morning they move toward the vending machine, their original goal. And what they find there is not what either of them expected. The vending machine is already occupied. His name is Xiaoya. He's warm. He smiles constantly. He has somehow befriended an entire colony of ants. Not just regular ants, but thousands of them. And they have built rooms and corridors inside and around the vending machine like a tiny civilization. He explains his ability. After the shrinking event, he gained the power to communicate with insects. The ants treat him as one of their own. He has built a shelter here, and survivors can join him. He offers food. He offers protection. He seems like exactly what this broken world needs. Linwan notices something immediately. One of the women near Xiaoya looks terrified. Not careful terrified. Not tired terrified. Trapped terrified. The specific fear of someone who knows they cannot leave. Chad starts listening at walls. And what he hears destroys the entire picture. Xiaoya has been running a system. He rescues survivors. But the men are sent to the Ant Queen as sacrifices in exchange for more soldier ants and expanded colony power. The women he keeps for himself. His philosophy, stated plainly in private. Just like a colony only has one queen, the new world only needs one king. Him. He had planned to send Chad to the ant hill by morning. As for Linwan, he described her as looking good enough to keep. Chad steps back from the wall. His face is completely calm. His eyes are completely cold. He looks at Linwan and says 2 words. We know. And then everything moves fast. Xiaoya springs the trap. Soldier ants flood the area. The leafcutter variant. Armed with corrosive formic acid that eats through almost everything. Xiaoya hangs back, because his hand-to-hand combat is weak, and he knows it. Chad watches him, tracks his position, figures out his pattern. A girl with an electric ability appears, drawn into the chaos. Xiaoya immediately tries to recruit her. Kneel to me. I might let you live. She refuses. The fight escalates. Linwan is getting overwhelmed. There are simply too many ants. She shouts that she won't go down. She would rather die than live under Xiaoya's thumb. Chad absorbs leafcutter ant biomass mid-battle, evolves on the spot, and uses the boost to get through the swarm and reach Xiaoya directly. He forces Xiaoya to the ground. Xiaoya bargains immediately. Kneel to me. Swear loyalty. I'll give you everything. Houses, food, power. You're smart. You know what the right choice is. Chad just looks at him. I hate it when people sell me a pipe dream. He uses the ability steal function on Xiaoya. Ant communication ability. Successfully acquired. And then Chad speaks. Not to Xiaoya. Not to Linwan. To the ants. He gives the command. The soldier ants freeze. Stand down. Return to the nest. Complete silence. Xiaoya stares up at him. Broken. How? That was my power. That was only my power. Nobody has an answer for him. The group just stares at Chad. And Chad, because he is built like that, simply says, it's a long story. The battle is over. But the aftermath is far from simple. Massive soldier ants begin emerging from deeper within the colony. These are not the regular workers. These are enormous even by post-Shrink standards. Mutated, armored, moving with a purpose that is not random. The Ant Queen has arrived. She is E-rank. The system confirms it. And she is not here to congratulate anyone. The Queen invokes something called the Ancient Pact. The deal Xiaoya made to gain colony support. The terms were simple. Humans provide the colony with sacrifices. In exchange, the colony provides protection. The pact is broken now, and the Queen wants compensation. Chad stands there looking at the largest single living creature he has encountered since the shrinking event and does something remarkable. He negotiates. He tells the Queen he is not Xiaoya. He refuses the sacrificial terms completely. And then the Queen says something that shifts the entire conversation. There is a contamination source in the vending machine. The colony has detected it. The mutations happening to the local animals, the increased aggression, the enhanced physical capability, the hunting for sport behavior, all of it traces back to this location. If Chad deals with the contamination, the colony will acknowledge the debt. Chad thinks about the food sitting in that vending machine, thinks about the fact that they came here specifically because of it, and then looks at the data the system is quietly assembling in the corner of his vision. I'll check it out myself, he says. He tells Lin Wan to stay below. The contamination zone is too dangerous without knowing what they're dealing with. She doesn't love the order, but she agrees. She lasts about 3 minutes before the contamination zone reaches her. The mild infection catches fast. Her behavior shifts. She becomes erratic, aggressive, starts moving toward the source instead of away from it. The infection is pulling her in like a magnet. Chad gets to her before it goes further. The system tells him, mild infection can be broken with a major physical shock. He does what needs to be done. The shock works. Lin Wan snaps out of it, disoriented and furious. She looks up at him. He's standing over her looking completely unbothered. You okay? He asks. What did you do? Saved you. That is not an answer. He helps her back to a safe zone. Then he goes in alone. Deep inside the vending machine, past the rusting mechanisms, through the contaminated air, he finds it. The system goes absolutely wild. Alien crystal core detected. The system explains everything in a single download of information. These crystal cores emit constant psychic interference. The interference builds up in living organisms over time and triggers genetic mutation. That's why the animals changed. That's why some humans awakened. That's why the infected lose their minds. It's all the same source, scattered across 13 locations. 13 alien crystal cores. If Chad absorbs all of them, the global mutation stops. It might even reverse. And when he touches the first core, the absorption begins automatically. Level up. Rank advanced. Void Blade unlocked. The power that downloads into him feels like lightning from the inside. A blade of compressed void energy that cuts through almost anything. He stands there for a moment, breathing, feeling the shape of his new ability. Then the vision comes, a flash of imagery showing him the location of the second core. A factory. Southern chemical plant. Far across the city. He grabs as much food from the vending machine as he can carry and walks back out into the light. The group celebrates when he returns. The Ant Queen, satisfied, withdraws the debt clause. The colony will provide food and protection to anyone who stays. Chad tells the Queen directly, lend me soldier ants to travel, then I'm moving on. The Queen agrees. It is at this point that the group has to make a decision, stay in the safety of the ant colony, or move with Chad into a world that gets more dangerous by the mile. Miss Yachin, a girl who had been part of the colony survivor group, wants to leave with Chad. He tries to talk her out of it. She has no powers. The outside is too unpredictable. She looks at him and says she still owes him a favor. Lin Wan, for the first time in the whole story, almost smiles. They leave the ant colony. The soldier ants provide an escort for the first leg of the journey. And then, the rain hits. At their size, rain is not weather. Rain is a natural disaster. Drops the size of boulders. Flash flooding that can appear from nowhere and sweep a person away before they can react. The group scrambles for shelter inside a nearby structure. And that is where they find Mr. Shu, the clinic teacher from their old school, running for his life. He barely gets the words out before his pursuers arrive. A group of aggressive survivors, armed with improvised weapons. demanding that the woman with him be handed over. Their language is casual and contemptuous. They clearly expect no resistance. Chad steps in front of them. As long as I'm here, they won't touch you. One of the men recognizes Lin Wan and Chad from a previous encounter. He tells his partner these two are bad news. Maybe they should back down. The other man, the leader, has a new power. He is feeling confident in it. We've got a god on our side, he says. Two pieces of trash can't do anything. He sends his fighter forward. Chad takes him apart. The woman they were protecting turns out to be Miss Xu Jing, the school infirmary nurse. Lin Wan knows her. She treated Lin Wan countless times after gymnastics injuries. The reunion is warm and brief, and then immediately interrupted by something much larger. Because the god that group of men was following has now arrived. And yes, it gets worse. She walks in like she owns the air, which, given what her ability does to air, is not entirely inaccurate. Her name is Jayla. She leads something called the Church of the New Sunday. Her followers believe she is literally divine, a goddess sent to guide humanity through the crisis. They have seen her miracles with their own eyes. They do not question. They simply obey. Jayla is a teenage girl. This is genuinely funny for about half a second before she fires a beam of blinding light directly at Chad's group, and the humor evaporates. Her ability is spectacular and terrifying in equal measure. She condenses local energy, forces the surrounding air to ionize, and releases it in controlled bursts. The light is real. The destruction is real. And to anyone who doesn't understand the mechanism, it looks exactly like divine power. Her followers are not wrong that she can do extraordinary things. They are just wrong about what she is. Lin Wan starts analyzing from the moment the first beam fires. She watches the magnetic traces in the air. She tracks the ionization pattern. She identifies the electrical signature. Chad, meanwhile, does something elegant. He bait-switches Jayla into using multiple different forms of her ability back-to-back, forcing her to adapt, to shift, to show more of her technique than she intended. He keeps her off balance while Lin Wan builds the complete picture. Then Chad gives Lin Wan the opening she needs. Lin Wan's electromagnetic control meets Jayla's ionized field and shuts it down. The miracle collapses. The light beam dies. And the teenage goddess is standing there looking at two people who just reverse-engineered her power in real time. Your teleportation, Lin Wan says, almost casually, is just light refraction. You're bending light around yourself. It's a mirage. Jayla has no response to that. She's cornered. Chad could end it here, but he doesn't kill her. She's too young, and more importantly, she has something he needs. She offers the deal herself, because she's smart enough to know when she's beaten. She has access to an autonomous vehicle. She can interface with its fiber optic system using her electromagnetic abilities. If Chad wants to move across the city, find that factory, chase the second crystal core, a car would cut the time from days to hours. Chad takes the deal. Jayla becomes a reluctant ally. Lin Wan makes it clear, in exactly 2 words, what happens if Jayla tries anything suspicious. Jayla looks at Lin Wan and decides she believes her. The new Sunday camp is impressive in a grim way. Dozens of followers, all organized around faith in their goddess, surviving in relative comfort because fear of Jayla is a powerful social adhesive. Chad watches them and understands something about what Jayla has actually done. Whatever her motives, she has kept these people alive and functional in a world designed to kill them. That night, the infection comes to camp. Not gradually, not quietly, all at once. Multiple followers collapse into the infected state simultaneously. The screaming starts. The attacks start. And from above the camp, visible through gaps in the shelter roof, something is flying. Something on a bat. Chad looks up and his jaw tightens. He recognizes the silhouette immediately. Chu Shang. Alive. Infected. Angrier than ever. And from the way he moves, dramatically, terrifyingly stronger than the last time Chad killed him. Infection, it turns out, does not just destroy a person. For someone with an existing ability, it amplifies. Chu Shang was rank D before. Whatever he is now, it is not rank D. He lands in the camp like a meteor and goes straight for Chad. I'm going to tear you limb from limb, he says. You've gotten stronger. And you've gotten uglier, Chad replies. The fight begins, and it is immediately, obviously different from every previous encounter. Chu is not just stronger, he is absorbing damage. Every hit that lands on him feeds him. Every attack that connects makes him bigger, angrier, more powerful. He is turning the battle into a feedback loop. Chad cannot win by hitting harder. The math does not work. But he knows Chu's old weakness. And infected or not, the core of someone does not completely change. Chad and Linwan coordinate. They don't fight Chu straight on. They fight around him, beneath him, through the chaos of the infected swarm. They push him to use more and more power, more and more energy, looking for the ceiling. Every ability has a breaking point, Chad says to Linwan. We just need to find his. They go all in together. Combined. Full power. No holding back. And something finally breaks in Chu Shang. The regeneration fails. The absorption fails. His body can't keep up with the damage anymore. He goes down, for the second time, in what is hopefully the final time. Chad immediately attempts to extract Chu's wind manipulation ability from the corpse. The system processes it. Extraction failed. He exhales through his nose. Doesn't say anything. A new ability activates from the overall battle experience. Different from wind manipulation, still useful. He takes it without complaint. Linwan looks at him. Why the long face? Didn't get the one I wanted. You're really something else, you know that? They look at each other for a moment longer than necessary. Then they both look away. The camp is wrecked. Jayla surveys the damage with the expression of someone doing elaborate emotional accounting. This was her base. Her followers' home. All of it trashed in a single night by a man who refuses to stay dead. So, she says eventually. What now? Now. Chad says, we get that car started. Getting into an autonomous car when you are the size of a thumbnail is, objectively, one of the funniest engineering problems in human history. The car body is smooth. There are no handholds. The door seams are too thin to grip. Climbing the wheel arch means crossing a gap that, at their scale, is the equivalent of free climbing a skyscraper with no equipment. Jayla's associate, a kid with technical ability, has the plan. He can interface with the car's fiber optic system and simulate the startup signals. He and Jayla climb up first using her abilities. Then, once inside, they work on getting the engine live and the doors open. The rest of the group waits on the ground. In the open. In a city where every shadow might contain something that wants to eat them. The kid nearly fails twice. The frequency matching takes longer than expected. The engine turns over and dies. He resets and tries again. And then, the car starts. The doors open. Light spills out. The group rushes in. The interior of the car, at their size, is enormous. Like a warehouse on wheels. The seats are cliffs. The dashboard is a wall of glowing instruments. It is simultaneously the most human thing they have encountered since the crisis, and the strangest. But the car becomes their mobile base. It is real. It moves. It gives them range they could not have dreamed of 3 days ago. But while the car was being started, Linwan and Miss Shu were left outside. And they were attacked. Not by mutants. Not by infected. By something with no system classification that Chad has seen before. It looks like a person. It talks like a person. But the system identifies it cold and clinical. Construct. Rank E113. Mimics life forms. Weakness, extreme heat. The construct had disguised itself as Chad. Linwan almost believed it. Almost. But something was off. Too precise, too perfect, no warmth behind the eyes, and she held. When the real Chad arrives, he identifies the fakes immediately. He burns them out using heat-based attack. The constructs disintegrate. They look at each other. First mantises, then mutant rats, then infected humans, now numbered constructs. Someone, or something, is releasing engineered entities into the city. And the numbering system on that construct's classification suggests there are far more of them out there. The group doesn't have answers yet. They file it away and keep moving. The city at night from inside the car is genuinely beautiful in a way that hurts. Streetlights still on. Buildings still lit. The infrastructure of human civilization running on autopilot long after the humans inside it were reduced to specks. Chad watches it through the car window and says something quiet. Human civilization didn't vanish. It just hit pause. We still know how to build, how to use tools. Given time, we'll build something new. Jayla looks at him sideways. You're an optimist. I'm just stating facts. The factory is their destination. The second alien crystal core is there. Chad can feel the pull from the vision the first core gave him. A direction, a certainty. The southern chemical plant. Strange logo, yellow background, black mechanical skull. Supplies raw materials to a single private research lab. The public doesn't know it exists. The snake ambush happens on the approach road. It drops from above, or rather, it was already there, coiled and waiting. A mutated python the size of a highway overpass, armored with scales that might as well be tank plating. Standard attacks do nothing. Everything bounces off, and then it opens its mouth and breathes fire. Nobody said anything about fire-breathing snakes. Nobody warned them about this. The system is calm even when everyone else is not. Weakness, the eyes. Chad calls the strategy. Draw it. Make it commit. Target the eyes when it exposes them. He handles the distraction personally, dancing just ahead of the fire, keeping it focused on him, while Lin Wan and the others find angles on the eye sockets. The coordinated strikes land. The snake falters. More strikes. It goes down. Chad absorbs the biomass. Evolution complete. No new ability gained. He waits. The system compensates. All physical stats significantly enhanced. He feels it like a wave. Speed. Strength. Reaction time. Everything upgraded at once. He flexes one hand and almost laughs. Sometimes no ability is better than a bad ability. Inside the factory is a different world entirely. The pollution is severe enough that insects, normally the dominant life form in the shrunken world, are dying just from the air. Chad moves carefully, watching everything, while the system tracks the crystal signature. He finds a survivor deep inside. The plant director. Gaunt, exhausted, operating a self-built radio beacon he constructed from salvaged components. The director plays innocent. He claims he has been here alone since the event, never saw a crystal, doesn't know anything. Chad catches the lie in real time. A micro-expression, a hesitation, a tell. He gives the director food, builds basic trust, begins walking him toward the exit. And then the director stabs him in the back, literally attempts to use Chad as bait for the infected creatures inside, buying himself an escape window, which is when the director's infection kicks in. The timing is almost cosmic. Mid-betrayal, he inhales a spore or triggers a contamination threshold, and the infection activates. His power awakens simultaneously, metal explosion. Rank B, controlled detonation of metallic objects. Inside a steel mill. I am a god, the director announces, arms spread, surrounded by a tornado of fragmenting metal. Chad's response is to look around at the literally explosive environment and decide he cannot fight at full power without destroying everything, including himself. He stalls. He lets the director believe he's winning. He watches the ability pattern, identifies that the director has only just awakened and has no control refinement. One-dimensional. All power, no technique. Chad finds a way to force a misfire. He gets close. The fight ends. He attempts the ability steal. Rank B versus Rank C, gap too large. Extraction failed. It stings. He acknowledges it stings. He keeps moving. The crystal is deeper inside, and when Chad finds it and absorbs it, everything ignites at once. Evolution complete. Air shield. Rank C. Host rank advances to B. The air shield ability downloads into him like a second skin, a barrier of compressed air that can intercept almost anything physical. The rank jump to B is the biggest single advancement he has made. The vision of the third core location arrives immediately. He memorizes it. He walks out of the factory alive. The group outside, who had assumed the worst when they heard explosions, nearly collapses with relief. Total breeze, Chad says. Nobody believes him. Getting into an autonomous car when you are the size of a thumbnail is, objectively, one of the funniest engineering problems in human history. The car body is smooth. There are no handholds. The door seams are too thin to grip. Climbing the wheel arch means crossing a gap that, at their scale, is the equivalent of free climbing a skyscraper with no equipment. Jayla's associate, a kid with technical ability, has the plan. He can interface with the car's fiber optic system and simulate the startup signals. He and Jayla climb up first using her abilities. Then, once inside, they work on getting the engine live and the doors open. The rest of the group waits on the ground. In the open, in a city where every shadow might contain something that wants to eat them. The kid nearly fails twice. The frequency matching takes longer than expected. The engine turns over and dies. He resets and tries again. And then, the car starts. The doors open. Light spills out. The group rushes in. The interior of the car, at their size, is enormous. Like a warehouse on wheels. The seats are cliffs. The dashboard is a wall of glowing instruments. It is simultaneously the most human thing they have encountered since the crisis, and the strangest. But the car becomes their mobile base. It is real. It moves. It gives them range they could not have dreamed of 3 days ago. But while the car was being started, Linwan and Miss Shu were left outside. And they were attacked. Not by mutants. Not by infected. By something with no system classification that Chad has seen before. It looks like a person. It talks like a person. But the system identifies it cold and clinical. Construct. Rank E113. Mimics life forms. Weakness, extreme heat. The construct had disguised itself as Chad. Linwan almost believed it. Almost. But something was off. Too precise. Too perfect. No warmth behind the eyes. And she held. When the real Chad arrives, he identifies the fakes immediately. He burns them out using heat-based attack. The constructs disintegrate. They look at each other. First mantises. Then mutant rats. Then infected humans. Now numbered constructs. Someone, or something, is releasing engineered entities into the city. And the numbering system on that construct's classification suggests there are far more of them out there. The group doesn't have answers yet. They file it away and keep moving. The city at night from inside the car is genuinely beautiful in a way that hurts. Streetlights still on. Buildings still lit. The infrastructure of human civilization running on autopilot long after the humans inside it were reduced to specks. Chad watches it through the car window and says something quiet. Human civilization didn't vanish. It just hit pause. We still know how to build, how to use tools. Given time, we'll build something new. Jayla looks at him sideways. You're an optimist. I'm just stating facts. The factory is their destination. The second alien crystal core is there. Chad can feel the pull from the vision the first core gave him. A direction, a certainty. The Southern Chemical Plant. Strange logo, yellow background, black mechanical skull. Supplies raw materials to a single private research lab. The public doesn't know it exists. The snake ambush happens on the approach road. It drops from above, or rather, it was already there, coiled and waiting. A mutated python the size of a highway overpass, armored with scales that might as well be tank plating. Standard attacks do nothing. Everything bounces off, and then it opens its mouth and breathes fire. Nobody said anything about fire-breathing snakes. Nobody warned them about this. The system is calm even when everyone else is not. Weakness, the eyes. Chad calls the strategy. Draw it. Make it commit. Target the eyes when it exposes them. He handles the distraction personally, dancing just ahead of the fire, keeping it focused on him, while Lin Wan and the others find angles on the eye sockets. The coordinated strikes land. The snake falters. More strikes. It goes down. Chad absorbs the biomass. Evolution complete. No new ability gained. He waits. The system compensates. All physical stats significantly enhanced. He feels it like a wave. Speed. Strength. Reaction time. Everything upgraded at once. He flexes one hand and almost laughs. Sometimes no ability is better than a bad ability. Inside the factory is a different world entirely. The pollution is severe enough that insects, normally the dominant life form in the shrunken world, are dying just from the air. Chad moves carefully, watching everything, while the system tracks the crystal signature. He finds a survivor deep inside. The plant director. Gaunt, exhausted, operating a self-built radio beacon he constructed from salvaged components. The director plays innocent. He claims he has been here alone since the event, never saw a crystal, doesn't know anything. Chad catches the lie in real time. A micro-expression, a hesitation, a tell. He gives the director food, builds basic trust, begins walking him toward the exit. And then the director stabs him in the back, literally attempts to use Chad as bait for the infected creatures inside, buying himself an escape window, which is when the director's infection kicks in. The timing is almost cosmic. Mid-betrayal, he inhales a spore or triggers a contamination threshold, and the infection activates. His power awakens simultaneously, metal explosion. Rank B, controlled detonation of metallic objects. Inside a steel mill. I am a god, the director announces, arms spread, surrounded by a tornado of fragmenting metal. Chad's response is to look around at the literally explosive environment and decide he cannot fight at full power without destroying everything, including himself. He stalls. He lets the director believe he's winning. He watches the ability pattern, identifies that the director has only just awakened and has no control refinement. One-dimensional. All power, no technique. Chad finds a way to force a misfire. He gets close. The fight ends. He attempts the ability steal. Rank B versus Rank C. Gap too large. Extraction failed. It stings. He acknowledges it stings. He keeps moving. The crystal is deeper inside, and when Chad finds it and absorbs it, everything ignites at once. Evolution complete. Air shield. Rank C. Host rank advances to B. The air shield ability downloads into him like a second skin, a barrier of compressed air that can intercept almost anything physical. The rank jump to B is the biggest single advancement he has made. The vision of the third core location arrives immediately. He memorizes it. He walks out of the factory alive. The group outside, who had assumed the worst when they heard explosions, nearly collapses with relief. Total breeze, Chad says. Nobody believes him. The car needs fuel. At their size, a gas pump is the physical equivalent of managing a municipal water tower. But the principle is the same and the need is urgent. The car's reserves won't last forever, and without the car, the group's mobility collapses completely. The gas station they find is occupied. The survivors there are tense and territorial. Their leader is immediately hostile, eyes the car, suggests a trade where the car is the payment. Chad declines. They try intimidation. Chad demonstrates very simply that intimidation does not work on him. The fuel negotiation shifts quickly into something more cooperative. But before anything can be properly resolved, the Hell Gang arrives. They are exactly what the name suggests and worse. The largest raider group operating in the area. They do not raid for supplies. They raid for people. What they do with people, nobody who gets taken ever explains afterward, because nobody comes back. Their lead fighter has a magnetic pull ability. Objects fly to his hand from distance. He is used to this being overwhelming. He has probably won every fight he has ever been in using this exact technique. Lin looks at him, processes his ability, and dismantles him. Electromagnetic control against magnetic pull is not even a contest when one person has been using their power every day under life or death conditions, and the other has been using it to intimidate starving survivors at a gas station. The Hell Gang member goes down. His backup goes with him. Afterward, Chad extracts the information he needs from the surviving gas station man. One known Hell Gang base, an empty lot directly across the street. Chad thanks him and immediately starts driving across the road. Lin, why are we going there right now? Chad, since we're already enemies, pull them out by the roots now. Otherwise they'll be like Chu, always hunting us, never giving us a moment's peace. Lin thinks about this. Fine, I'm in. Jayla, so cool. The base is worse than expected. The Hell Gang is performing actual human sacrifice. They have an altar. They have prisoners. They have a theological framework around an entity they call, without apparent irony, the evil god. Chad hits the base like a controlled demolition. The leader of this particular cell has a combined ability, spatial power, and something described as prophet-level influence. Two abilities in one person, which the system flags as unusual and significant. The fight is intense and chaotic. The cultists rally around their altar and their faith, which in practice means they fight with the recklessness of people who believe they cannot truly die. Chad disabuses them of this notion. In the final moment of the battle, one cultist, cornered and defeated, attempts to activate a self-detonation. Not a metaphor. An actual explosion powerful enough to level the block. Chad absorbs the detonation energy and redirects it outward, away from the group, away from the structure, into nothing. The silence that follows is profound. The prisoners are freed. The base is cleared. And among the survivors that the group finds in the area, one of them stops Chad cold. Because he recognizes her. Dr. Liu, chief of the Fountain of Youth project at Southern Lab. Chad knows the project by reputation. Everyone who followed research news before the event knew about it. Alien meteorite radiation being used to reverse telomere decay. Effectively, a blueprint for biological immortality. The connection clicks in Chad's head immediately. Alien meteorites. Radiation. crystal cores that emit psychic interference and cause genetic mutation. He asks her directly, "Did your research cause the shrinking event?" Dr. Liu says she doesn't know. She says the data is long gone. The lab was off the map. The records are destroyed. There is nothing left to find. Chad does not believe a single word of this. He presses harder. Dr. Liu stonewalls. She offers to generate fake data if they want numbers that badly. This is a woman with something significant to hide, and the thing she is hiding might be the answer to everything. Why the event happened, whether it can be reversed, what the crystal cores actually are. But before Chad can push any further, the masked figure arrives. Nobody sees them coming. Nobody hears them approach. One moment Dr. Liu is arguing with Chad, and the next moment, Lin Wan is not standing where she was standing. The masked figure has her. They speak directly to Dr. Liu. The message is simple. Produce the fountain of youth data within 3 days. Lin Wan is the insurance. Dr. Liu breaks. She agrees to retrieve the data. She says she needs time. Chad moves to trade himself. If the masked figure wants power, Lin Wan's electromagnetic control is valuable, but his evolution system is more valuable. He makes the offer. Lin Wan cuts him off. "Don't forget, you still owe me a favor, broken heart." She looks at him with something that is not quite fear and not quite calm. Something in between that is harder to look at than either. "Stay alive. That's the only thing I ask." The masked figure takes her, and they are gone. The group stands in the wreckage of a cultist base, with a frightened scientist who may have accidentally broken the world, and a car that runs on borrowed time. And Lin Wan is gone.